back talking horse racing, the greatest gambling game in the world, and I'm with Emily. We're going to talk about the Belmont Stakes,
The Belmont Stakes. Yeah, I've heard of it. The Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
presented by somebody for something, and
Yeah.
all
We're
the
we're
other
not
things.
getting paid by them anyway, so it's
Exactly.
fine. It's fine to forget. But yeah.
You mentioned that there was a bunch of slipping out of the gates, like all weekend.
No, didn't watch really. I didn't go back and like watch the notes on the
Okay.
full card to like do like a deep dive. But maybe. I mean, just in this race, going back and rewatching it, that was like there was a couple things that caught my eye. That being one, because it seems like I don't think there was a single horse in here that got a clean break. You tell
Mm.
me what you
I
think.
I didn't notice, but that's not
Some more
surprising because
extreme than others,
yeah.
but yeah.
Well, and also the track got a bunch of rain, and you'll see when we start the video here in a second, like it's pouring. So I wonder if that had something to do with it because it seemed like it was sunny and nice all day, and then all of a sudden it was just raining because upstate New York, that's what happens. I
Yeah,
guess.
it's tough to say why, but I think the fact that it happens on more than one horse and the entire of the field and you go back through the notes and there's not a lot of trouble starts in the past to be like, okay, that's that horse, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely something, right? Going on. So I don't know if you want to like
Yeah.
start it and then pause and see if we
Yep.
can kind of see it right from the jump.
Absolutely. If I know how to hit the button. Oh, I'll keep it muted so we can talk over him. Yeah, they all. Yeah, that was enough of a break to be weird.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, there's some like more extreme than others. Like emerging market basically gets like whiplash, right?
Yeah.
But like Golden Tempo loses his footing as he breaks outward. Otinho stumbles a little bit. Renegade stumbles. Even growth equity and power shift stumbles pretty good too, but both power shift and growth equity stumbled and then they rushed for the lead. Now we'll see Chief Wallaby. How far back you want to
I
take
was
it?
gonna go right back to the start because I realized
Cool.
that we're gonna show all of them again because I didn't see all of that. So
Yeah. Yeah, if you just wanna, like, hit pause real quick, like, as soon as they break, and then we can kinda, maybe,
one
like,
more
half.
second.
Yeah. Yeah, like, from right there, you can see, yeah, Renegade's, like, nose is down,
Yep.
Emerging Markets' nose is down. It's hard to see the legs on Golden Tempo as he kinda breaks outward, but, um even with power shift, he kinda, like, loses footing, but the 6, growth equity, you can see where he's kind of behind the others early on. Little bit of a slippage on the hind end from number 7, Commandment. Um, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was they all have something that and
They
like
all have something.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the 8 was emerging market, and he's the one that you were talking about, where, like, his whole back end's just kinda all over the place.
Yeah, his is the one, like, his head goes forward, right? You can see,
Yep.
like, it's could probably cause something in, like, the cervical, and then they kinda have to rush forward, into position at that point. Chief Wallaby's checking behind those horses on the first turn. That horse just seems to always kinda find himself a little
Yes.
little bit of
Always in
trouble,
trouble.
which
Always
we've
in trouble.
discussed. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yes.
creatures of habit, right?
Yep.
But yeah, the Trivian Man breaks a little bit slow, but they kinda rush forward. We had talked about that in terms of doing the pre-handicapping
Yep.
video for this and establishing position. Other than that, it was, the we talked about the pace kind of being a little bit kind of undetermined and more of a rider's race. And I think actually the finish is as much, if not more so, a rider's
Right.
race.
Yes.
Um, but we can get into that a little bit. I don't really think there's any I don't really think there's any trips, right? We saw
No.
like that little bit of trouble on
Yep.
Chief Wallaby, but again, I think that's you have to put that in the context of kind of a horse that finds their own trouble. But at this
Yes.
point, Chief Wallaby moves outside, he gets first run. Renegade outside of the stumble has been covered up inside. He gets first run. Um, but Trivia Man will get a little bit of a shuffle here, but he was kind of a long shot anyways. As he kind of checks into the
Yeah.
turn and then ends up like kind of running on late little bit one pace, but power shift backs up. Emerging market backs up. Um, Growth equity will get a little bit tired in there. And then we see kind of the closers from the outside, right? Renegade
Yep.
getting into the clear between horses, Chief Wallaby getting that first run, and then that kind of deep stretch battle where Golden Tempo split horses wide off the turn, and Commandment goes to his outside and unable to get by, flipping leads under the wire. So I don't think there was anything that was like so trip detrimental that it impacted like the outcome. I
Yep.
think it was I think we kind of got the results. I think there's horses that you could definitely play back under different conditions. You want to look at
Yeah.
the head on from
I was
here?
gonna look at it real
Yeah.
quick just because I haven't watched it yet and
Okay.
realizing that, maybe this will show me something slightly different, but yeah, I mean, that right there, you just get the
Yeah,
entire
you can really see it. Yeah.
yeah. It all weekend, well, let's watch this. Yeah, it just there's so many of them that are just doing something goofy and silly that it almost is like there's no punishment for any of them because they all had
Exactly.
something, so it's like,
Yeah.
just call it a wash.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just more at that point, like, where you're gonna kinda position your horses, right? And,
Yep,
you kinda think, like, power shift, growth equity were gonna go forward, emerging market as well wasn't gonna go for the lead, but he was gonna get that position that he's in right now.
yep,
So, I don't think it really changed anything too much other than maybe, like, energy or, if
right,
there's some
yeah,
kind of, like, twisted ankle, something like that
right,
that you can't really
yeah,
see until you get back in the barn. Um, but yeah, I mean, at this point in running, it's kind of what looking at the plot, what you would expect, right?
yeah,
Like
yep,
first flight, back half of the field
yep,
where they're
absolutely.
supposed to be.
And I mean, I was saying the all weekend it had been so speed favoring that it felt like nobody could come from the back. And so right about here is when I'm like, is Power Shift going to just win this? Because they aren't going that fast. They aren't doing anything crazy. He got basically a perfect setup. And then of course the all the closers come. It just feels like the closers of this group are so much better than the others that it doesn't matter what kind of trip or bias there may or may not be that like they're just the best horses, and they're gonna beat them almost every time, it feels like, until something else changes.
Yeah, there's a couple points on there that I think are kind of individual to touch on. Um, I'll start with kind of power shift, and this kind of goes into Renegade as well. If we're talking about trends of the weekend and the track bias and how that played, one of the things you really had to consider, at least in my opinion, again, value is, up to the
Yep.
individual, but Todd Pletcher didn't win a single race.
Wow.
And I don't know if you want to pull that up on the
Yeah.
trainer grid, but I think I posted about it too. Didn't win a single race. A lot of those horses were shorter prices. I think it was like 25% like hit the board, Renegade being one of them. But that's something that and even we talked about doing the video, it was like, look for these barns that, Cherie DeVos sending out live runners, right? Like when Englishman ran off the screen, you're like, it's probably a good sign for Golden Tempo to kind of hold
Yeah.
their form. And, when Todd Pletcher's horses are underperforming in spots where they should be performing better, you have to at least go, hey, Renegade's the favorite here at a short number. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Crazy.
mean, yeah, and I mean, you can kind of scroll over and see like what the odds are because sometimes it's like, yeah, if you're sending out like, 70 to 1 shots, like, sure.
Yeah.
But
But it's
yeah, and
Todd
even if
Pletcher,
you
so that doesn't actually, happen that way.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, some of those horses are like most of that
Renegade
sample
and
is
Life and Times and
y-
yeah, I mean, lots of under 3 to 1s and under 4 to 1s.
yeah, that are, coming up short in that scenario. So at least that's, like the track profile. You take that
Yep.
trend to account and you say, okay, well, the better horses are the closers. They can still win, but now I was willing to take 7-2 on Golden Tempo. Now I need closer to 5-1. Like those
Yeah.
types of things have to come into your mindset. And when you see Renegade at a short price, having to maybe adjust a little bit that
Yep.
he could get beat in that scenario. So the same thing for power shift, right? Because it's the
Yep.
same barn. Like, yeah, maybe on if those stats look completely different for Todd Pletcher, maybe he does just like run off with the field and let the track the track carry.
Yeah. Well,
Now
and, like, the
yeah, go
the
ahead.
odds on this race especially were interesting because Renegade was 8 to 5 and, like, heavy, heavy favorite, and, again, you don't get anybody over 25 to 1 because it's a class or one of the Triple Crown races, so it gets bet uh, ridiculously. Um, I I still think Golden Tempo at 6 to 1 is too low, but obviously I was wrong on his ability and the trip and all of the things about him. So, but him going off as the fourth choice is somewhat surprising to me, and him and Commandment are basically the same. So the betting in this race was peculiar, and Chief Wallaby being second choice and Emerging Market third choice is kind of hilarious in my
Well,
mind.
that was one of the things that we had mentioned during the video. And I was actually just as surprised that Golden Tempo was higher, um, because I thought he was gonna be lower than the morning line. I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna be shorter than 9 to 2 just with,
Yep.
like, because he's the Derby winner, because, the storylines with Cherie DeVoe and getting attention and, all that added
Yeah.
stuff. So, I think I even mentioned it in the video. I'm not sure if I put, like, the number on it, but I said if Golden Tempo is that higher number, like, he can become playable. And it's tough after you have him at,
Yeah.
you
23 to
know,
1 to yeah.
yeah, to come back and be like, "Oh, he's value at 6 to 1," especially I thought Commandment was complete value at 6 to 1, right?
Right.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, so that was, and that's just horse racing when it comes down to it. Now, I do want to talk about the two trips between Golden Tempo and Commandment, because I think there is the obvious, kind of with Golden Tempo getting cover, moving to the outside, kind of floating out Commandment being wide. Like, those are things that you can see with your eyes, right?
Yep.
That's like, it's pretty factual. It'll come up in like the GPS data or however they do it, whatever they want to call it now. The other thing that I really noticed, like, looking at that is, and it's maybe a little woo woo if someone wants to come at me with that, but the confidence level. If you're watching the two trips side by side with Jose Ortiz aboard Golden Tempo and Johnny Velasquez, riding Commandment and taking over Commandment for the first time, it's like a complete level of confidence. Like, Jose Ortiz is riding every step like he knows what he's going to do with this horse in order to get the win. And with Johnny V, it's like,
The
okay,
third,
I'm going to take back at the break. I'm going to kind of get outside. I'm going to wait around the turn. And then I kind of get floated out. It's like it's a completely it's one of those that's like it's tricky, right? Because it's not like it's a bad ride, but just that level of confidence. And it's like if he if and the horses feel that type of stuff too, right? So I think that could play something in the outcome, but again, the outcome's over. It's over and done with. But that's just kind of something that I really think in the end made a difference on the day.
Well, and if before the race started, you told me that Commandment and Renegade and Golden Tempo were gonna be basically the 3 at the back of the pack and right next to each other, and that one of them is going to win, like I'm taking Golden Tempo because we've seen him close in that way. Renegade, we've also seen him do it in the Arkansas Derby against weaker, but we just saw Golden Tempo just run Commandment or run Renegade out. So it's like, all right, so he's better at closing, so he's got to be much closer to the pace to have any chance. And Golden Tempo was much closer to the pace. So when they have to go the
Exactly.
same distance at the same speed, it's like, well, Golden Tempo is going to do it faster.
And that's part of what I was saying about that confidence level is
Right.
it was just kind of like, and I almost thought in the Derby, right? When I had talked about looking at the works, I'm like, they're keeping him closer to the workmate. I wonder if they're going to try to keep a little bit closer. And I think that was key in here. And again, I think that just goes to that confidence level of knowing the horse, knowing your level of getting that win and having them in the right spot that he didn't have to take back. He's just like, okay, we broke out, we recovered, we're with this field, like, we're going to work a trip from right here.
Yep.
And it was, perfectly done. And I think there's maybe a scenario where they go, oh, we're too close. And then we take back. And then that allows for Commandment and Renegade to get that first run.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an excellent ride again by Jose Ortiz with, different than the Derby.
Yeah. Though the same, but not that
Yeah,
much. Right? It's
exactly.
like he was still at the back and he was very much
Yeah.
knowing that's what he was wanting to do. Like I watched some of the interview he did and just like this field was smaller. I can be closer. And if we can get there, we can get there. And he wasn't like that was the plan all along. He's like, yeah, our plan was we're going to the back because that's where we belong, and then we'll go from there. And it
Yeah.
was pretty wild.
But, I mean, some of that too could have been a little bit of, adjustment in terms of that's how the track profile was playing. You didn't wanna be too far back, and even though you
Yeah,
were gonna be back, you didn't wanna be, like,
20 back.
back, back, like at
Yeah,
the Derby, you know?
yeah. You want to be on the screen at least, as opposed
Yeah,
to
exactly.
completely off the
Yeah, on the
screen.
screen. Um,
So Golden Tempo is good? Question
yeah.
mark. I it I don't think like nobody thought he was good before the Derby. After the Derby,
Why are you calling
okay.
me a nobody? What? Don't call me a nobody on these
Very,
live
very,
streams, come
very,
on.
very few people thought he was good. You didn't think he was good. You thought he was a good spot. He wins. You don't
Well, I
like
mean, I thought
him.
he was good.
Yes,
Both, right?
yes,
Like, he's good enough with this
right.
group, right? Everything else fit, and then it was just kind of like stars aligned, but yeah.
But then we both were like, we you just cashed on him in the Derby, but I don't want him in the Belmont because it doesn't really work here.
And
And
I
he kind
thought,
of
I mean, the
yeah,
big kicker of that was, like, that I thought he would be shorter. I really
also
thought he was
true.
gonna be,
Yeah,
like, he would be second choice
yeah,
or third
that,
choice,
yeah.
depending on what they did with Wallaby, but yeah,
And
that was really it
yeah,
too.
I mean, that was just Renegade getting over Bet, but he's
Yeah,
really good, and it's
he's
somewhat
good.
crazy to kinda look at him in that way now, like, having the hindsight of, like, everybody being against him and all the talking heads, including the 2 talking heads here. It's just like, how did he get so good so, like, so obviously that nobody was like, "Yeah, he should be the favorite or, 2nd choice in this race, not 4th choice."
E I mean, I I think a lot of it really had to do with the track profile, but then again, I don't know why Renegade was favored if that was
Right.
kind of the same running style, but I do think
Exactly.
that was it. I think that was it too, and there was a lot of people that were like, "Golden Temple will never win again. He's a one-hit wonder," that type of thing, and that was, part of the consideration when talking about the price was like, he was peaked for the Derby, like, completely 100%, and he would have to come back and, kinda do it again. Maybe he didn't need his necessarily his best if, like, Renegade clearly didn't run his best and Commandment not being quite as, like, confidently handled and everybody
Yeah.
else just kinda being who they are and again, kind of things align in a different way. Yeah, I mean, I think that is the takeaway. I mean, Golden Tempo. I mean, he really that was going into the Derby. It's all on video. People can go back and rewind it, but he hadn't run a bad race.
Right.
He was extremely dominant breaking his maiden on debut. He was against the track profile in every race at the fairgrounds while still making up ground over a course you really couldn't make up ground over. His numbers were moving forward with each and every race, and his numbers fit in line with kind of every other horse, right?
Yep.
And even when we talked about the Belmont Stakes, that was kind of the knock on Renegade, right? It's like, yeah, he's run consistently, but he hasn't taken that step forward.
Right.
He hasn't shown like he's running, the speed figures that we use, like that mid high to 90s, but he
Yeah.
hadn't cracked that triple
Yep.
digit. And
Yeah.
Golden Tempo had
Yeah.
in the Louisiana Derby, whatever, you wanna discount the figure makers, but, like, Chief Wallaby had, Emerging Market had, they
Yep.
had they had done it. They at least shown that progression speed figure wise.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting moving forward because I feel like a lot of these horses don't want the mile and a quarter. I think that had as much to do with it as Golden Tempo being better than them. It's like he wants to go far, and the rest of them want to go a mile and an eighth. And I think maybe there's some that will be okay going long, but like all of them should be getting cut back. It feels like one, there's not really much of a choice because that's kind of what you have to do
Yeah.
now. But going, like, to the Classic, going to the Travers, it feels like Golden Tempo has a huge advantage at that distance. Now, whether or not it's gonna be enough against older, in the Classic, we'll worry about that in 6 months, but just very interesting how little it feels like any of these horses want the distance, and I don't know if that's real or not, or if it's just he's better and now I'm gonna blame the distance because of it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the easy I think there's a little bit of both, right? I think there's some horses that have some distance limitations and have been exposed, but I think the other part of it is there's sort of one grade 1 horse in the group.
Yeah,
Maybe 1.5, right? I think Commandment ran fine and has won a grade 1 in the past, but I think that's sort of it, and that's kind of what we had talked about in the
yeah,
past, like, horses like, Power Shift and some of these others that are kind of up and coming, but like they're not quite grade one right now.
Yeah.
And we talk about some of the other preps. We'll do a video on Matt Wynn and like maybe, some of these other horses that are coming from other places maybe are on that grade one level. And maybe even if it's like not quite their ideal distance, maybe their running style can change. But again, I think there's a class element to Golden Tempo versus the group in the Belmont Stakes last
Yeah.
Saturday.
It certainly feels like it. So, anybody else in this, race that we wanna talk about?
I pretty much think that's it. Just in terms of takeaways, it'll be interesting to see like where these horses show up. And again, I think each and every horse in here can be played back. It's just a matter of where that
Where
spot
yeah,
is, where that
right.
spot is.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Alright, well, then we will, wrap it up on the Triple Crown and move on to the summer and go from there. So, we're off to the next one.